Hi folks, my name is Kenneth Price, and I'm going to post a video for this Facebook page. This is a benzo withdrawal Facebook page. I was talking to a member of this community a couple of days ago, and she really wanted me to post another video. I'm not a video person, but she said that the story that I come to the table with can help others, and I'm all for helping others. So if you want to look at my profile, you can find out all about me. I'm 53 years old, and since this is benzo withdrawal, you're all in the throes of a benzo withdrawal. I can kind of get that. I was once too. It was not much fun. But one of the things I got from that, folks, is on the other side of that, when all that's said and done, flushed out, over with, I can come back and I can shed light for this community. Because when I was in the throes of my benzo withdrawal, the one thing that I needed was light. I needed a lot of things, but the light was probably the most helpful. People to say, keep going, I've been there before, I made it through, and so will you. What's my story? The good news is I've almost forgotten about it. No, but that's not entirely true. I told you I was 53 years old, and on or about my 40th birthday, I got a prescription from my psychiatrist for Klonopin, 4 milligrams. But it didn't happen overnight. It had been culminating for a very long time. And when I was in my early 20s, I started psychotropics. I started psychiatry in my early 20s, and I started psychotropics. And it didn't even begin then. You know, we can go back to all the stories. I came out as a gay man in 1985, and I came from a very fundamentalist community. I'm just going to say fundamentalist. I'm not going to go to any more details. I can give more details if people can resonate with this, you know, personally, one-on-one. I came from a very fundamentalist worldview, and it didn't match with my sexual orientation. And I came from a very, very rigid family. I'm just going to keep it at the superficial levels. And I came from, well, let's go into my beliefs. I had a very materialistic worldview. Everything was based on money and success, and that was how my whole story began. When I began to, because I mean, then listen, anybody who wants to rely on a worldview like that is going to encounter lots of problems in this world. The purpose of living is not making money, and it's not being successful, but you know, humans seem to need to experiment with that. So anyway, getting back to my story, based on that worldview, I started hitting the wall at a very young age. Alcoholism, drug addiction, coming out as a gay man in the 1980s, took me to psychiatry in my early 20s, where they started administering psychotropics. So I started getting drugged as a young man, and trying to solve it with pharmaceuticals. The list of pharmaceuticals was endless. The psychiatrist just kept writing script after script. Maybe if we try this new one, it'll take about 2 weeks to kick in, and then we'll slowly begin to remove the old one. And well, this one is for sleep, or this one is for PTSD. Well, there might be some bipolar there, maybe a little bit of schizophrenia, on and on and on. And so I just soared through my 30s, you know, maintaining alcoholism on and off. I don't want to say drug addiction because I wasn't heavily in any street drugs, but I did abuse painkillers, and I did abuse an occasional Valium now and then. Not an occasional, but I would use Valium moderately every now and then, just trying to slide my way through graduate school, slide my way through this world. My life really never worked until I hit the wall at age 40, and finally I convinced the psychiatrist to give me Klonopin. I knew it wasn't right, but I was in pretty bad shape. You know, it was either getting that prescription of Klonopin or going into a mental hospital. So I spent 2 years on 4 milligrams of Klonopin. So let's fast forward to age 42, when I realized in my gut, my intuitive sense said, you got to stop this, Kenneth. And it took me 9 months to dry cut the Klonopin. I did all the research. You've got things like Ashton method, which I looked into. And the decision that I finally made was to dry cut the Klonopin for 9 months. Ooh. Wow. Let's not go into too many details because I'm going to keep this video short. It was hard, folks. Everything that you're going through was in my story too. Maybe not 100%, because I was very lucky. I was young and very athletic and strong, so I didn't have the physical symptoms. What I had were emotional symptoms that were off the charts. It was a very, very difficult withdrawal. It was very, very painful. You know, thought of suicide more than once. But this is where I want to go with this video. I'm not going to focus too much on the story, and I just kind of gave you the overview. I want to focus on the recovery, folks, because that's the purpose of posting, you know, anything to this web page. You've all been through the horror stories. You've all been through the fear, and we're gonna just shelve all that. And we're gonna go in a completely new direction here. We're gonna go towards. We're gonna focus on now. Okay. My life had to take a different direction because of that experience. I guess I would call that my dark night of the soul. I could call it a midlife crisis, but that wouldn't do it justice. It was a definitive dark night of the soul. It was the moment where I had to grow up. Yeah, and that's what we're all here to do. I had to start moving in a different direction. No more, obviously no more pharmaceuticals. You know, after the Klonopin was gone, I had to surrender those. So we're talking withdrawal on top of withdrawal. But I want to focus on my worldview that has pulled me into the light. And that's what you all want. You want to be pulled into the light. Got different names for it. Let's call it light. I had to get a spiritual foundation. I had to believe in something greater than the five senses. My materialistic worldview had already been experimented with, and I saw where it took me. I had to move out of the victim, because you come out as a gay man in 1985 from a fundamentalist background, you're going to have a lot of victim in that story, and there was a lot of victim in mine. So I had a lot of unwinding to do, and that's the good news. The story that I want to share with everyone has to do with grace, because the moment I started turning the corner and asking for help from, we'll say God. All right, I'm trying very hard to keep this a secular video, but I'm certainly not going to keep it an atheistic video. We're gonna try and aim for the middle ground. We're not going to go secular, and we're not going to go atheist. We're gonna go right down the middle. We're going to walk the middle path here. I had to get on my knees and I had to ask for help. I have a background in 12 steps. So let's reverse out of that. Let's not call it God. Let's call it a higher power. Okay? The moment I began to earnestly say a very simple prayer, I can't, he can, I think I'll let him. Him just being a pronoun. Fill in the blanks if him doesn't work for you. You know, I don't want to get stuck on pronouns here. Very simple prayer. I can't, he can, I think I'll let him. And that's when my life began to turn around, folks. you probably want to hear some white light moment. Yeah, wouldn't that have been nice? Small angelic intervention. And I'll use the word angel, small angelic intervention. You know, the moment I was saying, I can't do this one more day, it's too painful. I just have to, I'm that's it. I'm going to go down, get a bunch of heroin, slam the heroin, and just call it quits. That's when the next angel arrived that said, no, you're not going to kill yourself. You're needed. You're loved. And I'm going to prove it to you. Not to prove it to you to make you all better, but prove it to you so you can take the next right step. And then the next right step. Did it happen overnight? My grandfather once said, that you got to earn your way through life. And he was talking about a materialistic worldview, but just transfer that concept into the message that I'm trying to convey. It's a slow and gradual process. This is why we're here. It's a very important message. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here for IRAs. I'm not here for investments because that's going to provide me security in life. That's what got me into the Klonopin mess. This new worldview is how I started to, and it's not like I'm pulling out a Klonopin. No, that's another old worldview too. It's like I'm focusing on the light, and that story is no longer necessary. Let me try and put this really gently. I no longer need the Klonopin withdrawal. I needed the Klonopin withdrawal in order to wake up. Okay, that message has to be conveyed very delicately because we cannot go into this with shame and guilt. We have done nothing wrong. Zero wrong, important. Okay? That being said, we're not going back to our old life. No one here who finds himself in a Klonopin withdrawal wants that life back. I'm not a Christian, but there's a master 2,000 years ago who said it very clearly. The house built on sand will wash away. So not because we made a mistake, important point, because we are now ready to build the house on rock. There is not to be any regrets in our stories. Pharmaceuticals, alcoholism, homosexuality, fill in the blanks. That's my story. What does yours look like? There are no mistakes. I very seldom meet wise people who come out of the starting gate and just build a house on rock. The wise people first build their house on the sand, then the rains come and wash that house away, and then the house is built on rock. You see, I'm trying to reframe this to demonstrate that nothing has gone wrong, that this is how humans evolve and grow wise. And now, with a house on rock, it's not about worldly security. It's not about seeking love. It's not about seeking sexual gratification. It's taking all that energy and seeking, I called it a higher power earlier. I called it a light earlier. I called it God. Fill in the blanks. What works for you? Something outside the five senses. There are countless spiritual paths. Each person's got to find the one that works for them. How does this relate to my Klonopin withdrawal? It was bad. Years of being suicidal, just horrible. And this is how I began to move out of it. The more I began to help people, the more I forgot about my Klonopin withdrawal. The more I began to help others and perform service. See, before then I had a very narcissistic, self-centered worldview. I was a kid, I was young. But with this new worldview, it's almost like God said, you don't need it anymore, kiddo. You don't need this Klonopin withdrawal. You learned your lesson. Not lesson in the form of punishment, This is important. This is the reason that Christianity sometimes often can miss the boat when people misconstrue the teachings as believing that there's a punishing God. Absolutely not. Okay? There is simply we collaborate with God, universe, Mother Earth, and then the universe collaborates with us. Synchronicities and grace. We try and do it our way, and total foobar, fucked up beyond all repair, and I'm living proof. It takes great courage to move through one of these. I will not, for a moment, I'm not going to sound Pollyanna-ish, and by now you probably got lots of friends that just, say, well, just focus on the light, focus on, it doesn't work in one of these. It takes a lot of spiritual discipline, and by discipline, it takes daily practice. It takes work. I can go into all that if you want a private session, but for now, I'm just going to try and keep this under a 20-minute video to kind of give you an overview. I have a daily spiritual practice, and first comes God. Second, with God comes my connection, and then, if I'm to have resources, if I'm to have anything, it comes as a byproduct of that primary connection. I figured it out. I learned my lesson, and I learned it the hard way. And I can come back and I can save you time. I know this community like the back of my hand, so I'm going to kind of give you a heads up. If you watch this video and you want, some of this, if you want to join in this, I'm here for you, because I've already prefaced that my life is dedicated to service. If you want a quick fix and ask me questions, like if you want to ask me a lot of technical questions, I'm sorry, I can't really help you with that, because it's not going to help you. And by that I mean, people say, the questions are, how long did it take you to heal? When will I heal? I don't know that. How willing are you? Okay. This is going to fly in the face of allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine thinks it's just a bunch of chemicals in our brain that have been compromised. Well, there's a truth to that. I don't have anything wrong with medical doctors, but the message that I've come to convey is that there's a deeper truth at the substratum even below that, and we're talking the land of miracles here, but you're staring at one. I'm not here preaching miracles. I'm telling you, I am one. We say yes to God, spirit, higher power, and the healing, if you want to call it healing. We're gonna start playing with vocabulary here. Listen, I think this is how I can say it better. I was talking to somebody a couple years ago who was really struggling with a benzo withdrawal, and I asked him to entertain the idea. I said, maybe I never did recover from that benzo withdrawal. I gave him the most perplexed look. Oh, you mean you're still in withdrawal? And I said, I don't know. Maybe I never did recover from that benzo withdrawal, but I'm happy. I mean, it was a total, the circuits in his brain. It was cognitive dissonance he was going through. But I said, look, instead of trying to make the benzo, instead of trying to beat down the benzo withdrawal, let's just let it be there. Let's let it sit. Let's entertain the idea that instead of the benzo withdrawal getting smaller, how about you getting larger? Expand consciousness. I call that light. For now, where you find yourself, you're in a lot of anxiety. That's all that's happening. You've not been damaged. No one has been damaged. That's an allopathic worldview. No one is ever damaged, because who are you? Are you the heart inside, or are you this body with five senses? Can the heart be damaged? That's the good news. That's where we go for the heart. And whatever happens with this body is no longer our responsibility. Our responsibility is the heart. Heart connection, and that's when the body will respond. Now I'm going on a ledge here. But this is my story. And then that's when the voice said, you don't need a benzo withdrawal anymore. You're done. You got it. I said I would do it under 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes and 5 seconds. All right, I'm not going to end this video on something so boring. You can obviously tell I'm here at the stables. I come across here every day with my carrots. They're not mine. Because I want to introduce you to my friend. Let's see. Dakota, come say hi for the video. I come here and I give her carrots every day. Get your carrot. Come on, your carrot. Carrot. There she goes. Oh, I come here and feed her carrots every day. Hey, listen, my life is pretty simple now. You know, people would say, oh, I'm losing my career. I'm losing my house. I'm losing... And I know. I lost all that. I gained this. I hope you can hear that. I lost all that. And I got my heart back. What are you here for, folks? Are you here for material possessions? Or are you here to wake up? Yeah, Christians call it salvation. I'm not a Christian, but that word comes pretty close. All right, so anyway, that's a it's going to be a 23 or 24 minute video. This is the message I have for the benzo withdrawal community on Facebook. Here it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon in Camas, Utah. And if you're really struggling with this, if this message resonates, listen, message me and we'll FaceTime. My whole life is spent in service now. The service is how I'm healing every single day. So do not hesitate. I love you all. You're going to be just fine. God bless. Kenneth Price for the benzo withdrawal community. Bye.